Okay, so I've made quite a lot of planes in Scrap Mechanic, but they're kind of boring. So I thought I'd make a VTOL. Now, technically, any plane in Scrap Mechanic can be a VTOL, as long as it takes off and lands vertically, but that's kind of boring. So I'm going to make one so that when you go forward, the engines rotate forwards, and when you go up, the engines rotate up. So the first we're going to start by making the body. Now, this is going to be pretty easy, but it's going to be pretty important as well. Okay, so now we're just about finished. Now this thing looks pretty cool. It looks quite nice and streamlined, which is pretty cool, but now we need to work on the back. Now the back's basically as easy as the front, we just need to make it more like a cone, but this should be pretty easy. Now we're basically finished. Now we just need the tail though, which should be pretty easy as well. And as you can see, now it's done. Now this thing looks pretty cool, but now we need to work on the other stuff. So now I'm gonna start working on the engine. There's gonna be two on these, one in each wing, which could give it quite a lot of power. Now this is going to have 4 thrusters in each one, which should give us, well, quite a lot of power. So yeah, now the engines are done. We're just going to need to save this and make another one just so we can, well, have 2 of them, which is going to be pretty useful. And now I'm going to decide where to put the wings. So, because the engines will be attached to the wings, so that's what we're doing next. Now we're going to work on the wings. Now they're going to be around 7 blocks wide, which are going to be quite big, but not too big, since they aren't actually functional anyway. Now this one looks pretty cool. It looks, well, doesn't look cool right now, but it will when we actually attach the engines and they aren't floppy, the wings. So now we're going to attach the engines. And this thing actually looks a lot cooler already. So yeah, hopefully the finished result looks pretty good. So now we're adding a few switches so that we basically can, well, flip the engines up and down and turn on the engines. And this thing should basically kind of work, but not very well. And as you can see, we can now go forwards, and now we can actually tilt the wings up. Now this thing looks pretty cool. Of course, it does lean back a bit since all the weight is in the back, which is kind of annoying, but we can change that later. So now I'm just going to make some doors on the side so we can actually get in it, because the hole in the top of this looks kind of ugly. So now I'm going to make a simple suspension bridge. This will make the thing, well, tilt less on its own, and also make it so we don't drift when we rotate at all, which is going to be pretty useful. So now we're going to add some thrusters for pitch. So there's going to be 2 for pitching up and pitching down, which is going to be pretty powerful. So for the pitching down one, we're just going to attach into the seat, so when we press W, it'll pitch us down. It doesn't work so well at the moment, but we'll find a way to make it work. Now for the pitch up, we're going to need an S converter, since this is going to be completely controlled by my keyboard. So yeah, let's just make an S converter. So this is pretty simple. All I need is 2 bearings and a sensor, and just some cardboard. And now it should work, hopefully. And now we can pitch up and pitch down, except the pitching down is not very good at the moment. So let's change that. So we're going to add some thrust in the front for even more power, and this should make the pitch quite a lot better. Now you can see we can pitch down and pitch up, and it's pretty good. So we kind of have control. Of course, we can't turn or roll at the moment. So yeah. So then I just covered up all the ugly stuff in the back because I don't really want to see it. Now I'm going to use a suspension glitch to just add in a roll control. Now this will be better when using thrusters, so it'll just be a lot more reliable. As you can see, it's a bit too strong at the moment, but we can pretty easily change that. So yeah, this thing works pretty well. We can now roll and pitch. So this thing isn't done, but it is functional, which is pretty good. The pitch is not strong enough at the moment, since I'm not actually adding turning to this, so we'll have to roll then pitch to turn, if you understand what I mean. So yeah, this thing should work pretty well now. I didn't make it so the wings aren't like straightforward and they tilt up a bit to give us some more lift, which is going to be pretty useful. But then I had an idea. See, at the moment, basically, when you go up, it has way too much power, which is and I'd rather go up a bit more slowly. So I'm gonna make it when you go up, only half of the thrusters are on, which should make this thing a lot better. And now all we need to do is just do some logic, and it should work. And as you can see, we can go up a lot slower now, which is kind of a better. And then when we transition to a forward fly, it goes a lot faster, which is kind of nice. I also added this other thing, which basically is just a button that you press and you just fall down a lot slower, which is going to be helpful for landing this thing. Then I had this other idea to add some thrusters that point downwards so we can hover in midair and like get out the seat and do stuff. But I don't know if this will work, so let's see. As you see, it almost works, and pretty much does work actually. But yeah, it's not great since you can't really get out the seat properly. When you do, it's pretty good. You can do some stuff, and it's pretty good. It doesn't hover perfectly since you do go downwards a bit, but it's pretty good for now. Now, this thing's loads of fun to mess around with and just fly around. I mean, you do crash sometimes, but it doesn't matter too much. Then, while I was messing around, I kind of jumped out the seat and the thing just flew away. So now we have to start again. I'm joking. I'd basically just left the game and rejoined, which turns off all the switches in your world. It means you basically just fell back down. So yeah, now we have the thing back, and now we can do some more work on it. Now this thing's loads of fun to just mess around with and fly around, since it actually flies really well, which I'm quite proud of. Because lots of my other planes don't fly well, but this is pretty cool. Now this thing is basically complete, but also I want to add some weapons, so I'm going to add some spud guns. Now this thing's going to have around 8 spud guns, because this thing has to do quite a lot of damage. Now we're going to have 8, so that's quite a lot, but it should make it do quite a lot of damage. So I just added them on a loop, and now it fires really quick. Probably quite loud as well. It also has quite a lot of recoil, as much that when we fire it, we go backwards if we're just flying up. But anyway, this thing's basically done now. There's a few more things to do, like give it a paint job and stuff. I also did remove the downward thrusters to hover, because basically there's too much weight in the front now because of the spud guns, and you basically just start tilting forwards when you hover, and yeah, that's not very good. So I just got rid of it. But this thing still works pretty well. So now I'm just going to paint it since it's quite small and it's pretty easy to paint. And yeah, now I finished painting it. It's all grey, which is pretty cool. Except the engines are slightly different. I think I did paint it slightly wrong, because one of the engines is a bit darker than the other, but it doesn't really matter. But this thing's loads of fun to fly around. It looks pretty cool. I also raised up the seat so you can actually look out the window, and it actually looks pretty cool in first person. You can't see much, but it's pretty fun to just drive around. You do crash quite a lot, but it's still quite fun. Anyway, this thing was pretty fun to make. It wasn't as challenging as any of my other builds, but it's still quite a lot of fun and I'm quite proud of it. But this thing's loads of fun to fly around. It flies really well, surprisingly. I wasn't expecting it to fly really well since, it's a VTOL. But it's actually pretty fun to fly around. It does crash quite a lot since it's just slightly too fast. But it doesn't really matter. Now, taking off like a horizontal, vertically isn't great, but it's still pretty good. Anyway, if you want the blueprint, the link should be in the comments, and I hope you enjoyed, and bye!